went to work for my father as an assistant stage manager on a Broadway show called Breakfast at Tiffany's, which was a musical that my father had written that starred Mary Tyler Moore and Richard Chamberlain. And it was, I saw in the paper they were doing another version of it, but Abe wrote this musical, and it was not his best work. It was when he was drinking. He went into rehearsal with one act, and it was with Mary Tyler Moore, who was then Laura Petrie and Dr. Kildare in the show. It had an incredible advance, so we went out of town in Philadelphia, and it was sold out, and backstage, outside the stage door, were millions of people waiting to see these two television characters. And but David Merrick, who was a legendary producer, decided that the script wasn't good enough, so he brought in a man to read. He got rid of my father. He fired my father, and brought in a man based on his musical comedies named Edward Allen. So my father said to me, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "Dad, can I stay? Can I stay on the Titanic?" And he said yes. So I stayed on the Titanic, and it opened on Broadway for 4 previews. It was hooted off, the characters were hooted off the stage. It was certainly not Edward's métier. You know, Edward, the first thing he did was bring the miscarriage into this musical comedy. And, you know, he's a genius. I know him. But in this lifeboat, because it was already, the Titanic had sunk and we're in a lifeboat, I became very close with Mary because she was, you know, it was a terrible experience. So through that connection, and I waited, I stage managed a couple more years, and I started directing. I did a show called 40 Carats, and it starred the third person. It starred originally Julie Harris, and then the third person who replaced her was Zsa Zsa Gabor. So I had a reputation that I could wrangle Zsa Zsa. And so she, after 40 Carats, she would do it at some dinner theaters, some summer stock theaters, and they would hire me because I could, she would trust me and I could get the show on its feet. And she would do big business. She was a big personality back then. And so I ended up running a theater. I ran a theater in San Diego for 2 years, a Star Vehicle theater. I had Don Knotts and Lassie Red on Lovers, Joanne Worley and Goodbye Charlie, and other shows. And then I went with that closed. I went back to dinner theater, and I was watching. I was doing 40 Carats with Joan Fontaine. Now I don't know how many. I know the front row remembers her. I don't know about that. And I turned on the Mary Tyler Moore Show one night after rehearsal, and I said, "Oh my God, they're doing 20 minutes over a week, and I'm doing a 2-hour play over a week. I think I could do that." So I wrote a letter to Mary Tyler Moore, who I knew, and I got a call from Grant Tinker about a month later who said, "We're on the shows we're doing, we're interested in theatrical directors." So they brought me out to California. They gave me a small stipend to live on. They put me up in a place down here on Hollywood Boulevard, about 3 blocks from here. And they said you could do one show. And I did a Mary Tyler Moore like 5 months after I arrived, because I had to spend that time learning how to do the technical aspect of the cameras on a 3-camera comedy. And it's going to be 40 years in 2 years.
Well, you know, television is considered primarily a writer's medium. What do you as a director bring? What do you add to the process?
You have to, the first thing you have to do, since you're so dependent on the writer, and if you have to understand what the writer's vision is. So when I started out, I did anything. It didn't matter what the show was, I just wanted to do it. But on subsequent shows after Cheers, where I could pick and choose, I always would read a script and then bring the writers in to They always thought they were auditioning me. They never were. I was auditioning them. Because I wanted to see what their vision was. I wanted to understand what they were trying to say. I wanted to say to them what I thought about the piece. And the most important thing for me was the fact that they could defend the piece, not be defensive. If they were defensive, I didn't want to work with them. If they could defend the piece, I wanted to work with them. So what I try to do as a director is I try to protect the writer's vision. It's gotten, in the 90s, the executives at networks are much more hands-on than they've ever been. When we were doing Cheers, we never saw anybody. We never saw anybody from NBC. Randy Tartikoff and Grant Tinker were running the studio then, were running the network then, and they hired good people and left them alone. But now it's become very difficult. And it's always amazing to me that they give notes, a network gives notes, and if they knew what they were doing, they would have nothing but hits on it. And they tend to homogenize shows now. They tend to, let's do a show like, rather than, oh my God, this is innovative. So it's my job to protect the vision. It's my job in the moments when I'm alone with the cast, which is not at night in my bedroom, but on stage when I get a new script, and I try to, amplify and add and enhance the writer's vision. I'm very good with psych gags. I'm very good. I've always known the best way to tell a joke, what's the best position, stuff like that. So my contributions are there. And then I get involved in sometimes storytelling when I don't have writers that are good storytellers. But that basically is what I do. I do bring a lot to the business.
Picking up on the end of your clips.
The big joke is the audience. When you do it from an audience, they don't laugh, you change the joke. And you don't say, no, it's funny, we'll leave it in. So that's, it's about the collaboration. If I'm where I am in my career, I can say that